Today marks a grim anniversary. 2 years ago, Myanmar's military launched a campaign of violence against ethnic Muslim minorities in the country's Rakhine state. Claiming to be targeting terrorists, troops stormed Rohingya villages. Survivors say they burnt homes, raped women and girls, and slaughtered men, women, and children. About 10,000 Rohingya were killed. More than 740,000 were forced to flee into neighboring Bangladesh. The atrocities have been described as genocide by both the UN fact-finding mission and by Canada's House of Commons. And the problems persist. Just yesterday, 2 Rohingya refugees were shot dead by Bangladeshi police in a refugee camp. Rais Timong has been following the situation closely in Myanmar and in Bangladesh. He's the co-founder of the Rohingya Human Rights Network, and he joins us in studio now. Rais, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Natasha.
Just during the commercial, you revealed to me that you were actually in Cox's Bazar. You had to flee your home in Myanmar because of what happened with the military. Can you describe for me what happened 2 years ago?
I'll make a small correction there. I did not flee in the last massacre that took place. I was with my colleagues and my people at the refugee camps. My parents did flee back in the 70s, and I'm one of the most luckiest Rohingyas alive. So the situation is very dire. Of course, you have heard from other sources. But today, where we stand, we've got increase in the refugee camps, increase in sex trafficking, drugs trafficking, in the absence of education, in the absence of economic activity, and the situation in the absence of even funding from international donors that used to be there before. It is deteriorating as we speak. Can you describe for me what it's like if most of us can't go there, can't see with our own eyes? What do you see when you're walking through Cox's Bazar, where 1 million Rohingyas are living? The first thing that you see as soon as you get off your van, your transport, are children, because the majority of the population are children. Men are fewer in numbers. There are women everywhere and children, evidently. And they are they're all smiles, and they're hiding behind them the gravest of massacre and the gravest of atrocities that they have witnessed. You see them, you get them when you talk to them one-on-one. Some of them with amputated limbs, and some of them most of them without parents, as a matter of fact. Now, in the time that you spent there, what were they telling you? Do they want to go back to Myanmar? Do they want to stay in Bangladesh? Each individual is different, certainly, but is there a collective sense of what needs to be done? The collective sense is very clear and loud that they are not going back until the situation does not change. There are people over there who have come to the camps, being forced back, and then come back again, being forced back, and now they're back. There are lots who perished when they went back. They went into concentration camps, which is where they would most likely go if they're forced to go back again. So until we are given the papers that we were given earlier, we were recognized as citizens, as people from Burma, until we are allowed to do our farming and agriculture, until we are able to move from one place to another and not go through checkpoints before you want to go and see a doctor, until you are able to go and study and not get tortured and beaten and slaughtered just because you're trying to get an education, until you're recognized as a human being, because we're not even recognized as human beings. We're called as kalars, which is the equivalent of nigger, and as dogs and pigs and even insects, according to some Buddhist high-ranking monks. Until that changes, they're not going back. Okay, you said a lot there that I just want to go back on a bit. And to clarify for folks at home that you are essentially stateless individuals because the state of Myanmar does not recognize you as citizens. Is that correct? Absolutely, ma'am, yeah. So you also said that people were going back to concentration camps. Now, we need to be very careful when we're talking about this. What do you mean when you say Rohingyas are going back to Myanmar and they're headed to concentration camps? So it's not very long ago, perhaps just a month ago, that the UN Special Envoy to Myanmar stated that they're Nazi-style urban ghettos outside of Sittwe. My father is from one of those villages that do not exist anymore. They've been burned to the ground as of 2012. And there are concentration camps outside of those villages where it's breeding grounds for human trafficking, for sex trade, for all kinds of nasty things, perhaps even experimentation. We do not know. There is nothing that's allowed in there. Those only who have been allowed in there have concluded that it is concentration camps. And so if they're going back, the refugees are going back, where are they going back to? To villages that have been burned to the ground and bulldozed and have some new military installments on them? No, they're going back to new camps that are being built, and they will be effectively concentration camps and nothing else.
The Rais, when you say that they will not go back until things change, give me specifics. What needs to change?
We need to have ground level change where people accept us as human beings. There are good people in Myanmar, but they're good people everywhere, but they are not the genuine Buddhist or those who are Buddhist by practice. They are not, they're not out there. Their voices are not heard. It is the government and the extremist Buddhist population that has overshadowed the environment over there. And until that changes at a policy level, until it is illegal to call us Kalar, until it is illegal to spread hate crime on Facebook and on social media that even Mark Zuckerberg was at the Senate for how Facebook was utilized as a tool to spread hate, until the companies that are investing in Myanmar's military, the Myanmar's military that does trade with international corporations, that funds its weapons, until that becomes illegalized, until that changes, it's not safe to go back. Even those who are staying there, it's not safe for them.
We really don't have much time. Are you optimistic? Are these things going to happen?
Well, I'm an activist. So as an activist, I have to stay optimistic. And I have hope that the good will overcome the evil. There are good people in Myanmar. There are other ethnicities that are working in collaboration with us, from the Kashan to Karen to Shan, the Mon. They're also persecuted, and collectively our voices will be heard, and the international community, I have hope if we mobilize, if we do something about it. Canada has declared it as a genocide, but we have not acted on it. I mean, we have got a genocide convention that we have signed after the Holocaust. What good is this convention if we are just to let another genocide happen? So until that changes, I have hope that someday that will change and we'll be able to go back.
Okay, Rais, thank you so much for giving us this very inside view into what it has been like the past 2 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Natasha.
Rais Timong is with the Rohingya Human Rights Network.
Sorry for going overboard.
Okay, thanks so much.